By the year AD 476, the Roman Empire, through a combination of bad leaders, invaders, and money problems, began to crumble. And so the Western Empire really does fall apart. The Romans had divided their empire in an attempt to save it, and so the Eastern Empire continues to go on after the Western part crumbles. However, the Eastern Empire changes its name and becomes known as the Byzantine Empire. And it kind of gets a different flavor and a different vibe after the Roman Empire as a whole collapsed. So in the West, where the Western Empire was, soon we'll get to the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages where we'll have knights and castles. But in the East, that eastern part of the empire will kind of get rebranded and rebooted and become the Byzantine Empire. And so it will be known in history for some amazing leaders, some art that really does change the way that many people on planet Earth create art, as well as a few other accomplishments. So here's a map of the Byzantine Empire. You can see that by the orange, it is starting to grow, and eventually we'll even add areas that used to be part of the Roman Empire. And its capital will begin in a place called Byzantium, which will then change its name to Constantinople. The leaders want the city to reflect Constantine's name, so they change it to reflect the Roman emperor. And eventually, though, Constantinople will become Istanbul today. So if you wanted to go to Istanbul, just know you're going to the old city of Constantinople. Istanbul today is in the country of Turkey, and it's located in an ideal spot where the Black Sea meets the Mediterranean or the Aegean Sea, which is part of the Mediterranean Sea. It's an ideal location. It's a narrow strip that actually has a little bit of water running through it. This is an important part of history. Everybody in the neighborhood wants to control this little land bridge. It's a little bit of a water canal as well, connecting the two bodies of water, but close enough to be crossed by a big bridge. So today, even today in the modern world, Istanbul is one of the world's best cities because of its location and its culture. Like they say about real estate, it's location, location, location. So perhaps Istanbul, what used to be called Constantinople, might have the best location of any major city on Earth. Today, it's a tourist attraction. People around the world love going to Istanbul, Turkey, because of its location on the water, but it kind of is a bridge between Europe and Asia, the Middle East. It is just an ideal location. But the Byzantine Empire, they will make it the capital when it was called Constantinople, and the empire will thrive for hundreds of years. And of course, there will be many emperors who rule the Byzantine Empire, but only one that we have to worry about, Justinian I. He is the most famous of all the Byzantine emperors, and he rules around the year 500. Of course, he's not ruling alone. He has his famous wife, the Empress Theodora, to rule with him. And this power couple of the Byzantine Empire, because not only was Justinian bright, smart, and determined to make the Byzantine Empire one of the best on earth, but Theodora, she was his helpmate and assisted him in many ways. She fought for women and women's rights, legal rights, helped women to own land in the Byzantine Empire and provide an income. She allowed women to work in certain occupations so that the women perhaps could take care of their children if the husband was no longer around. So Theodora and Justinian are the kind of the power couple that gets the Byzantine Empire up and running and are the most famous. And of course, if you look at these images of Justinian and Theodora, you can see that they're not really just paintings. They are what we call mosaics. The Byzantines were big into mosaics. They kind of helped invent this art style where you create art with small pieces of tile or glass or stone, and you can see that these tiles generally are not touching each other. There's a gap between each one, and small tiles can give you a really beautiful wall or floor or ceiling. The Byzantines often made their mosaics revolve around Christianity and some of the early Christian images, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, holy scenes, but mosaics would become popular with Islam and around the world. So beyond this mosaic and the art known as mosaic, Justinian also gave the world, or continued a tradition, and maybe took it to the next level perhaps, of writing down the laws. So Justinian did many things. One of the things that he did that makes him famous is the code. The Romans had written down their code and put it for all to see. A lot of civilizations did this. Hammurabi had a code in the ancient Mesopotamia, but Justinian did it in a way that made it clear and concise, and so everyone in the empire knew the rules. And we just still continue that tradition today. Justinian also helped get major buildings like this building, the Hagia Sophia, created. Started off as a Byzantine Christian church building. It became one of the most famous buildings, and is one of the most famous buildings in the world today, located in Istanbul, Turkey. And you can tell the center of this, the main part, would be, it started off as a church, but over time, as Islam becomes a major world religion, remember there are three main monotheistic religions on earth: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. As Islam comes onto the scene, eventually the Islamic empires will conquer this area. The Arab Empire will conquer this area and convert the Hagia Sophia from a Christian church to a mosque. And remember, just a little review about Islam. When it was founded in 610 in Arabia by Muhammad, it became another monotheistic, meaning only one God. The Quran is the holy book, and the 5 pillars of Islam, even today, revolve around belief and confessing your belief, regular prayer, daily prayer, giving to charity, fasting, perhaps during the month of Ramadan, and a pilgrimage to Mecca once in your life, if you can afford it. But as Islam grows and spreads in the neighborhood, they're going to have some conflicts with the Byzantine Empire, and eventually the Byzantines will be conquered by the Arabian empires of the time, go from being a Christian empire to being an empire or a kingdom run by Muslims. And so when that happens, the Hagia Sophia goes from being a Christian church building to a mosque. Today, in Turkey, it is a mosque officially, but it had been a museum for a while. There's still a lot of controversy in the world about whether they should have made it a mosque or if it should be a museum to both Christianity and Islam. But no matter how you look at it, it is one of the most historical and beautiful buildings on planet Earth.